Good evening, everybody. What's going on there with Peter Barnes? I don't know, it's absolute chaos over there. Welcome to the most boring topic for a live stream, which is Partygate. But don't worry, we are basically moving on from Partygate. On this channel, I promise you guys this morning, we're basically going to avoid covering the boring stuff. We've covered all the other news stories, but we have to end the day with Peter Barnes, the political editor of the channel. Welcome, Peter. Talk about the end of Partygate, right?
Well, yeah, I have to admit, it does feel like we're at the end of this now. The Sue Gray report was obviously released today, and last night everybody was all in a tizzy. Everyone was all worked up for it, ready for, this could be the final day of Boris Johnson, and I'm not going to lie, it's been a complete fizzle, and it's honestly been a bit dull, if I'm being honest, compared to what this was lined up to be. But this is the thing with these kind of stories. I don't know how many times we have to learn that the minute we think he's going to go, he's not going anywhere.
No. And again, to clarify to the subscribers and everyone in live chat, hello to everybody. We are going to come to you guys, answer some of the questions you're going to send live to us anyway. But you guys get the mood right, because the majority of people are just sick and tired, because we have already shown outrage anyway towards the whole of the establishment, both red and blue, and everybody, whether it's Beergate or Partygate. Everybody knows that the hypocrisy, double standards, and even before these guys, there were so many. Nicola Sturgeon's health minister broke the rules. You had some of our bureaucrats broke the rules. Professor Lockdown Neil Ferguson went to see his mistress. They had so many of them anyway. We already know that. But people are now concerned about Boris Johnson as Prime Minister, whether he is good or bad based on everything else, the bigger picture. So if anybody is right now like anti-Boris, or just basically want Boris to be better, it's not really because of Partygate. It isn't really. It's because of everything else, because of the net zero agenda, because of the cost of living crisis and everything else. What do you think, Peter?
I think you're spot on there, and I think that's kind of shown out in a lot of the snap polling that's come out over the Sue Gray report. About whether Boris should resign. The main seems to be it's about 65% of people polled have said that he should resign. That is a little bit higher than when he got a fine, which was about 61%. But it's 5 points down from the initial Sue Gray report that we had a few months ago. So realistically, nobody's changed their minds on this. Yeah. Everybody's kind of stayed the same. If you think he should go, then you always believed he should go. There's been no new revelations really in this new report, or that have come out since, that have really shifted the needle. And it's just... I like today. I've been in Westminster today, and there's just a kind of just like, was that it? Just a sense of, really?
Well, firstly, I expected more drama. The photos came out. The birthday photos were terrible.
Oh my God, those birthday parties! I have been to more interesting 4-year-olds' birthday parties than those. If that was my birthday party, I'd be absolutely furious. What looks like Sainsbury's meal deal sandwiches and orange juice. I mean, what is he, 9?
I don't understand why they were so defensive about that specific event. Boris and everybody else. We should be just honest, saying it was basically a gathering of all the staffers in the same office anyway. And then randomly they bought some sandwiches and some oranges for absolutely no reason. But the issue we had was today we had the Prime Minister's questions. And Keir Starmer was again put in this awkward corner because he had the 5-6 questions. He didn't really bring up Partygate or the Sue Gray report. We know why, because it would have been an awkward own goal, because he's still going through Beergate. But in reality, he still missed the open goal because he tried to focus on cost of living crisis, and he made a couple of mistakes. I don't know if you guys noticed. Firstly, he tried to do banter. He tried to be clever. He was like giggling a lot and smiling a lot while talking about people's sufferings, which is really weird. And also, he was accusing the Tories of raising taxes, which is a good point. But then he also wants to raise taxes. Why are you saying it?
Yeah, I have to admit. So I on a Wednesday, I have to watch PMQs, and I have to admit, it didn't look good for him smirking, making jokes about the cost of living crisis. This is one of the biggest problems. I think it was Michael Fabricant, the Tory MP, that brought up kind of weaponizing people's misery for political gain. And I think he's really got a point here. And Keir Starmer does this quite a lot. Yeah. He uses the worst case scenarios, and like the people who have it the absolute hardest, who we really should be helping the most, and then throwing it back in the Tories' face and making a joke about it. I mean, if you really care, you'd be a bit more serious than he's actually being about it. Not to mention this windfall tax is economically illiterate. I mean, I know A-level students that can tell you why we shouldn't be having a windfall tax, but I have to admit, PMQs was a complete shoot and a miss for him. It really was. I think I usually turn it off whenever Ian Blackford gets to his feet because I can't listen to Ian Blackford from the SNP. I'm sorry. I'm paid to watch at PMQs, but I'm not paid that much to watch PMQs. But yeah,
it is interesting. Before, obviously, you guys prepare your questions. We are going to go to the live chat in a second, but let's also talk about the 1922 committee meeting that we just had about an hour ago, which is essentially the trade union of the Tory backbenchers. It's the group that looks after the Tory MPs in Parliament, and this is a group that elects the leader or do the vote of no confidence. Boris went there to speak to the Tory MPs and apparently it was okay. People expected a rebellion, but he seems to be getting away with it, right?
Well, it seems to be. We've had one MP so far come out. I think he's an MP for, I think it's York Way. Forgive me, I can't remember his name. I think
Julian Sturdy, yeah.
That's the one, yeah. So exactly. It's not exactly a big name. It's not anyone with any weight. We've had the usual faces like Roger Gale come out and say he's. But Roger Gale, I think it was Guido that pointed this out. He's called for Boris Johnson to resign twice a year for the last 2 years. So, I mean, he's not exactly known as a Boris supporter. What will be interesting is when if Boris loyalists start to turn on him. That's when he's got a problem. But from everything I've heard about the 22 committee, because there's no press allowed in there and it's all done by people leaking from it, it doesn't seem to be this kind of massive backlash.
Yeah.
Because realistically, for anyone who's actually read the report, one, I feel really sorry for you. I mean, it doesn't really seem to attack Boris himself. I mean, he's not really mentioned that much in the report.
No.
It seems to be going after civil servants, and he seems to be going
after and the others,
Yeah, and people like Lee Caney with the Director of Communications and other people in senior positions in Downing Street that realistically run Downing Street. It's not like Boris Johnson is like a CEO and sits in his office all the time. That's not really how Downing Street works. And I think this is what a lot of people haven't really understood about all of Partygate is actually just how Downing Street works and what's it actually like to work in that office. And I mean, there's a lot of people have got a lot of egg on their faces today. I mean, because like I said, the amateur dramatics we saw in that BBC Panorama program, I mean, good Lord, it was like watching like a local theatre group, And I mean, no offense to local theatre groups, they're probably significantly better.
Speaking of the BBC, let's also talk about Sam Coates of Sky News, who was standing outside Downing Street shouting at ministers, expecting to get an answer. What was it?
It's like I said to you this afternoon, he's become the Steve Bray of the mainstream media, the Stop Brexit guy. He's just shouting questions at it. No, it's somewhat of a kind of tradition. But I mean, he just looks unhinged. He looks unhinged when he does it. And I know for a fact they just laugh at him. Yeah. They hear the comment, they go inside the door and they make a comment. They get asked, what did he shout at you this time? It's not like he's making any hard hits in the government, although they're really bothered by what anybody from Sky News has to say. And I think that was shown in particular with how Boris handled Beth Rigby at the press conference.
Yeah, what happened? Apparently, I missed what's happened with Beth Rigby. I saw some tweets and stuff. What happened?
Yeah, so basically, how she kind of doesn't really ask a question. She just wants to have a little rant. Boris just cut her off. He literally just cut her off saying, I know what you're asking. Really? And then just continued to ask. And you could see just how frustrated she was actually getting. Because I think she really just wanted to have a grandstanding moment. And she just didn't get it.
It is a bit weird. I'm going to go to the live chat to see what's going on there. So we have Lenny saying these boozy civil servants were absolutely naive idiots. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I'm insulted when it comes to the Downing Street staffers, not because, some of them kind of proactively trying to basically, I know I'm breaking the rules, let's just do it anyway. So many of them, I can imagine, because we met so many of them, they are just like naive idiots. They didn't even think that this could be a bad look, because some of those events actually people took photos. Well, they were not secret photos.
This is the thing that annoys me, right? So kind of what as a kind of strategist consultant, one thing that we do is we tell people, don't take photos.
I know. Why would you do that?
If you're at a party that maybe you shouldn't be having, what idiot is taking photos of the thing?
Idiots. Yeah, but it is a good point, because they didn't even think. And then that's why I'm kind of offended on behalf of the country, because of the incompetence. But we also have Let's see. The most corrupt government in history. How
That's
old are you?
probably
3?
not true.
But no, that's the thing. No, the rest of the comment says, "How old are you? 3?" Because yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean,
what I
there's more
particularly like
problems.
is Guy Fawkes needs to replace Boris. I would remind you that Guy Fawkes failed.
I know, yes. There's
I know this is like, I know this is the old quote of Guy Fawkes is the most honest man to walk into Parliament, but he didn't succeed in what he wanted to do, and it didn't end very well for him.
It's mainly because I actually did tweet about this the other day. No, that some people and a lot of people make a mistake of confusing Oliver Cromwell with Guy Fawkes, and that's kind of
Yeah.
there are 2 different characters. One of them actually became a dictator. One of them got killed. So
Yeah, I know.
there are 2 different people.
There's another really good comment here from Krabby saying, like, we instead of trying to get rid of Boris for Partygate, should we get rid of him because he's not a very good prime minister? Now that I'm probably more on board with. If we actually look at what he's been able to achieve, or lack thereof, or like his policies and everything, I actually think there's probably more argument to remove him there than there is over Partygate. You know, if you look at, we're going to have to wait for tomorrow when we get the bill and the new measures of, like, I think it's a couple of £1 billion worth of relief for cost of living. But I mean, we've not really seen anything quite ingenious from the Conservatives, if I'm being brutally honest. We've not really seen any, particularly on cost of living, and that's got to be the major issue. I think Krabby's kind of hit the point here. The backbench Tory MPs would have a better chance about trying to coalesce people together to get rid of him if they actually focused on things like the failure of net zero, that you know, some of the wokey stuff that he's been doing, and the animal stuff. You know, I think you could probably get a better response from people for him to go because of that
rather
than because of Partygate.
But I mean, that's the thing. And at the same time, if he's going to survive, and which he's going to survive basically on this issue, he has a chance. I mean, we're being hopeful, but he has a chance to turn things around and try to act more as a conservative prime minister, because we reported on this channel earlier today that we discovered, the Taxpayers Alliance actually discovered in research that UK government have been using taxpayers' money to give random grants to the BLM organization and so many other woke organizations. And the issue is, a lot of people obviously are outraged, saying that, oh, but Boris is giving money to BLM. But the reality is that the politicians and prime ministers like Boris, they haven't been told. Because this is like a systemic kind of establishment thing. In the kind of Whitehall machine are giving out these grants, and then they get a minister from the department to sign it off without actually even reading it. So Boris, 99.9%, I'm sure that he didn't even know that they've been giving out money to like BLM and all the others. But he has a chance now by getting all these reports and reading them to sort it out, because people are outraged. But you can actually do some redemption. You can. But you have some time till the next election. But people are right now completely furious, not because of the Partygate, as you said, but because of everything else that's not going too well for them.
I think that's spot on. So what usually happens is charities are given money by the government. You know, they have X amount of money to spend, and they usually give them out. The problem is most of these charities are actually kind of covers for more radical kind of political movements. This has been an age-old problem in politics, and I think the Taxpayers Alliance have been banging on about this. I think when Gordon Brown was prime minister, this is a long-term problem, and I think one thing it does highlight is this kind of business as usual within the civil service and within the kind of mechanisms of Whitehall, without really thinking, well, wait a minute, who are we giving this money to, and more importantly, what are they doing with it?
Exactly.
And that's really should be the question. Well, I have no problem with the government giving money to charities or anybody, but I would like to know, as one of those taxpayers, what are they doing with it?
I mean, we all need to come to justification, and because the way things are going over the last few years in the West, there is now a massive appetite for transparency and more democracy, especially after the EU going bigger. So now, yesterday, when Tedros, the head of the WHO, got re-elected inside the private room, people are outraged, saying that at least can we, if not ordinary people, our ministers and prime ministers have more of a say rather than assembly members in WHO randomly voting. And because it's not really democratic. It's the same problem with the European Commission.
Yeah. No, completely spot on there. One of the biggest problems of these kind of big multinational organizations is that they're so far removed from what people actually think on the street. And more importantly, most of them don't really care what people think. They're too ideologically focused on what they want to do that usually when things like Brexit happens or Donald Trump happens, they're caught more off guard than everybody else because they're not actually paying attention to what people on the street really think.
They get surprised. They're like, why
Yeah,
do
they
they
do.
not like us?
Yeah, they really do. I mean, like the irony was Davos that's happening today, actually this week. The thing was rebuilding trust. I was like, yeah, that's working out well, isn't it?
The more you try, the worse it's gonna get.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop trying.
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. I mean, because they just don't help themselves. But more importantly, as I say, I think it's that they don't care at this point.
No, it's gimmick. It's all gimmick.
It's all gimmick. So it's all a gimmick. But and I think this is the thing. You know, I'm just looking at some of the response in the live chat, and when we've done these things before, people are very hyper aware of this stuff now. It's not like it was 10 years ago or even less than that.
No.
You know, people want transparency. People want to know what's going on, and I think that's because there's no trust in our institutions anymore. Nobody trusts the media at all, to tell you the truth. But corporations have got no trust anymore. You know, and it's because of how these groups have acted behind closed doors and just thought, oh well, everyone's just going to be fine with it. And I'm like, they're not anymore. It is,
and they've tried to be more fake transparent by releasing more videos from Davos, and one of them backfired because there was this meeting about electric cars, and when the host asked the crowd, hands up how many own electric cars, only 4 of them did. That's just awkward. You guys can't they're green at WF conference. Only 4 of you own electric cars. But it is a fascinating thing. But on the plus side, guys, hopefully this is the final time we're going to be discussing the boring topic of Partygate. So you can actually calm down.
Just as a quick question from our mutual friend Darius here, saying, is this the end of the threat to Boris's premiership?
No.
Unfortunately, like it's just not. The one thing that you have to realize when it comes to these kind of lefty groups and the Remainers and stuff is when they lose, they become like a wounded animal backed into a corner. They become more ferocious, more vicious. They'll start throwing out more wild accusations. I have no doubt over the next few days we'll get more leaks of photographs that weren't given to Sue Gray. You know, this is the thing. The people will have sat on stuff just in case it's not gone their way. And when this happens, you'll see it. You'll literally watch over the next few days. Just watch how those who were so desperate to get rid of Boris and yet again ended up with egg on their face, you know, I got to act more ridiculous. But the problem is this always happens to them. They overstep every single time. And, you know, they tried to get rid of Dom Cummings. That failed. They tried to get rid of Boris earlier over COVID. That failed. The Partygate seems to have failed. Like, you know, supposedly for some of the great minds of the country, they're not that smart, really.
No, that's kind of I think the biggest issue that we have. Hutchinson also says nobody trusts the media except the My Tousi media, and that is very, very true. And we have Lacey Butcher in the live chat as well. Hello,
hi, Lacey.
And Cole Breeze is back. Cole Breeze saying, "Let's all have a part." But yeah, I mean, people just want more involvement anyway. But it is what it is, guys. But it's okay because we are just to let you guys know the plans that we have, Peter and I, and we have updated the kind of the channel schedule. With or without Peter, we're going to do things anyway. but so that was Lacey Butcher. Hello, everyone. But no, so we I'm basically introducing. Well, we got Disrupt Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. But also every Monday, 8 p.m. we also have Tea Time with My Tousi. Tea Time with Tousi, which is basically a live stream. We're going to basically have a look at the week ahead and what happened at the weekend as well. Where hopefully, if Peter is not in a late meeting, he will be joining us as well. So definitely in the description, check out the details. We got the schedule in the description anyway. And also, I'm going to put Peter's Twitter handle here right now, Barnsley19, as you can see on the screen. Definitely go and follow him on the Twitters. Do you have Getter yet?
No, I don't actually. No, I don't really know whether to get it or not. Ironically,
get Getter. No, they get it because a lot of people are now moving there anyway.
All right, yeah. So that'll be my job this evening.
And trying to have the same handle just in case.
Yeah, I'll try and get the same handle. It'd be easier.
Good. But yeah, let's see if there are any crucial points in the live chat. Otherwise, we will let you guys go to have some.
Yeah, just as a heads up to everybody, tomorrow is the government's going to announce a big bill about cost of living, and this will really tell kind of what the government's learned. You know, so this was supposed to come out, I think it's next week, but they brought it forward. And I actually think if this is a bit of a flop, I think we have to start looking at replacing Rishi.
Yeah.
In particular, because I mean, I don't necessarily dislike the guy, but
yeah,
I think it's gonna be he's basically done if this is a flop tomorrow. I wouldn't say his political future rides on it, but his current political future rides on it. That'd be certainly one to keep your eye out for tomorrow. So we might actually come back tomorrow and do a little video and talk about that.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll find out exactly who's going to go down tomorrow, and we will give you guys the update afterwards. Thanks again to everybody in the live chat for joining us tonight. Here's someone saying tea time, you adopted the northern dialect. No, tea time, actual tea, not dinner.
Yeah,
it's after dinner. We're gonna have tea. I'm literally gonna have a cup of tea.
It's dinner. Yeah. Also, we don't play golf. So.
No, we don't do that. But no, thanks again guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Click on the like button. Share the video in case people have missed it. You can rewatch the live stream afterwards. It was me, Tousi, and Peter Barnes, and we. What are we, Peter?
The media.
We are the media.